There is a ton of hype right now around Georgia's wide receiver room. And from everything we're hearing behind the scenes right now in fall camp, the hype is real. This is a group that is extremely talented. They've got size, they've got speed. And after a very forgettable 2024 season, this room has turned around. Kirby Smart, James Coley went out and got two outstanding additions in the transfer portal. Noah Thomas, Zachariah Branch. They've got Dylan Bell returning. They've got London Humphreys. They've got several guys who are waiting their turn. They added a very impressive group of freshman wide receivers. And they also have Colby Young coming back. I'm going to talk about that and more because Mike Bobo had a lot to say about two veteran Georgia Bulldog wide receivers when he met with reporters last week. He knows how good this group is. He knows they're very talented, and he knows that he has to work with Gunnar Stockton to get the ball out efficiently to these playmakers. Get the ball in their hands. They're going to make a lot of plays. But I do think one of the guys that Georgia fans may continue to forget about, I guess might be the way to put it, is Colby Young. This is a guy that they got through the transfer portal last year through he was at Miami, and he had a strong start to the season last year. Big touchdown against Clemson, flashed big playability. He was suspended after the Auburn game, was reinstated back in March, and he's ready to prove the doubters and the haters wrong. And he's ready to remind Georgia fans how good and how impactful he could be this fall. He's a big kid. Georgia actually lists him at just 6'3", I think. Yeah, 6'3", 215 pounds. I think, or at least he looks taller than that. I think other people have told me he's 6'5". Georgia lists him on their official website at 6'3". So we're going to go right down the middle, call the kid 6'4", which is a big wide receiver. And Coach Bobo knows what he brings to the table. Here's what Bobo had to say about Colby Young last week to reporters. He said, quote, "I've been extremely impressed with Colby. He's grateful to be here and have this opportunity to be at Georgia. He was dealing with a little nagging injury this spring, but he wanted to go through spring and fought through all 15 practices. Since he's been back every day, he doesn't take a play off. He's the guy that we brought in out of the portal, but he is probably the leader in that room. He sets the standard of how to work, and I'm not just talking about whether it's route running or catching balls. It's blocking, and it's his effort. That's kind of contagious because we've got some talented receivers in that room, and some of them are really young. They need to know what it means to wear the Georgia uniform, and he represents that every single day. We brought in Noah Thomas. That's competition for him, and he has not shied away from that. I'm going to talk about Noah Thomas in a second, but Colby Young does give them another big body on the outside. And again, we saw flashes of that last year. He wanted basically a jump ball, kind of a back shoulder pass from Carson Beck against Clemson, man-to-man coverage in the red zone. That's where they can use him. That's where he can be really, really effective. So we saw him make a play there. He can stretch the field, and he's got size. He is really tough to handle for those smaller defensive backs. And so you knew he was talented. Yes, he got into some trouble last year, but charges were dropped. We don't have to really dig into that. Georgia brought him back, and now he apparently is one of the leaders in that room. I think Dylan Bell is probably another leader. That's the experienced veteran guy who's been around a while. But Colby Young, he gets it, and he is a guy that we're hearing behind the scenes working hard. He doesn't want to be forgotten about. This is his final year, senior year. He knows NFL scouts are watching. He wants to go out and make plays, and he does have size, and he does have good ball skills. Now it's about going out and making as many plays as possible, and he has the ability to do that and give Georgia a downfield weapon and a weapon in the red zone. However, like Bobo said, he's got competition, right? If he's going to be that number one X on the outside, that bigger receiver on the perimeter, facing a jam from a cornerback, trying to, get off that, make plays down the field. Noah Thomas is that type of player too. Noah Thomas is listed at 6'5", 205. So a tad lighter and a tad taller. And then this is, again, according to GeorgiaDogs.com, Georgia's official football website. So Noah Thomas, that's another guy who brings experience and playmaking ability. That guy torched the Auburn Tigers last year when he was at A&M. He can stretch the field. He can win jump balls. He can pick up yards after the catch, right? So you've got two guys who who are similar, I think, in certain situations. Maybe Colby Young or Noah Thomas could maybe play the Z wide receiver and leave one of them out there as the X. But so in certain situations, you can definitely see them both on the field at the same time. They're not completely or exactly the same, but same skill set. They're both big body guys who can stretch the field, make plays after the catch. But Georgia needs one to definitely step up and be that guy, be a game changer, a go-to guy. If it's both of them and they both impress the staff and find a way to get on the field at the same time, then that just opens up everything else. So if you have two, big guys with ball skills, both on the outside, it is really tough to cover. You put Dylan Bell out there too, Zachariah Branch in the slot. And Mike Bobo has a lot of weapons, and Gunnar Stockton's got a lot of weapons. And there are certain situations where they can say, okay, you know what? Just drop back, throw it up to these guys. They can go make a play on it. But it's what Colby Young is doing off the field that is really impressive right now, because he is leading that room. He's working hard. He's getting better every single day. And he knows the opportunity that he has in front of him. And he knows, hey, Noah Thomas is not necessarily coming for my job, and he's going to take targets away from me. He's really good. Here's what Mike Bobo had to say about Noah Thomas last year. He said, Noah's through 6 practices, and it's starting to slow down for him a little bit. The spring was probably a struggle if you asked him, with a new system, new terminology, and trying to figure everything out. He probably wasn't playing as fast as he would like. And our message to him was, it's going to be okay. Just keep your head down. Keep working. Now you're seeing big time improvements from him, and he's light years of where he was in the spring. He gives you another big body on the outside that can catch those balls that are contested. That's what Georgia needs more of, contested catches in traffic. That's not what we saw a lot last year. In fact, guys were wide open and still dropping in passes, right? But when you're playing against high-level defenses and a lot of defensive backs who are going to go on and play in the NFL one day, those guys know what they're doing. Those are good players. And when you have good players on good players, those guys have to make the contested catches for Gunnar Stockton. These guys aren't going to be wide open all day long. Eventually, these guys have to step up and make a really tough catch, whether it's in the red zone, down the sideline, middle of the field. They're going to be lined up against some quality defensive backs, and they have to make the play. You've got to make a play on the ball. And it's a little easier to make a contested catch when you're 6'4", 6'5", and you're naturally bigger and taller than the guy trying to cover you. So at the end of the day, both of these guys have the ability to stretch the field and make big plays in the end zone to put points up on the board, and we've talked about that often. Georgia has to start fast, right? They've got to get points on the board early, and they've got weapons all over the place. It's up to Gunnar Stockton to be smart with the football, be efficient, and put the ball where these big body, tough guys can go up and get it and make a play over a defender. So Mike Bobo knows what he has. He's been really impressed with Colby Young. Noah Thomas is a guy that I think is going to make an immediate impact. We're hearing buzz around him. There's lots of buzz about all of them. Zachariah Branch might be the fastest guy in the world from what we're hearing. That guy is explosive. You've got size, you've got speed, you've got experience with Dylan Bell. London Humphreys has some experience. Cole Spear, Sokovie White. You've got the freshman, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody. It is a loaded group, very talented, very gifted, but a lot of them are really young. And Mike Bobo's out here saying, hey, Colby Young is the guy leading the way. Yeah, Dylan Bell is going to help out too. He knows the system. He knows the standard. But Colby Young is right there. And, they've got the guys, wearing the blue helmets on during practice. Those are the guys that are standing out, playing with the passion, fire, and energy. And Colby Young is bringing that. And if you're a Georgia fan, that's exactly what you want to see. So disappointing year last year, obviously missing half the season or more due to that suspension. But if he's back, healthy, ready to go, and playing at his best, Georgia should be throwing him the football quite often, right? There's a lot of guys who need the football. Colby Young is absolutely one of them. Size, ball skills, playmaking ability. We saw a little bit of it last year. They're going to need him to step up in a big way. They're going to need a lot of guys to step up at wide receiver, because of last year just can't happen again. It was unacceptable, and the coaches knew that. They knew it was a big problem. They went out, they addressed it. They got 2 guys from the portal, like I mentioned, but Colby Young is also halfway a new guy, right? He's coming back to hopefully play for a full year, and that's going to be big, or a big deal for Gunnar Stockton and the Georgia Bulldog offense. But you can read more about this over on dogpost.com. Make sure you give us a follow over there. The season is here, so if you're not a Dog Post member, you're missing out, right? You are not an up-to-date Georgia fan. You're not a 5-star Georgia fan unless you are on dogpost.com. We got a great deal going on right now. Make sure you check that out. You can read all about what Mike Bobo said about the receivers and everyone else. You can read more in-depth analysis. I'm looking at my story. That's right here over on dogpost.com. It's free, but a lot of the premium, the inside, behind-the-scenes info, you got to be a member of, and it is worth every penny, I guarantee you. So make sure you're checking us out over at the website. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the next video.